on YouTube. Welcome to the show. We are live on YouTube. How's everybody doing today? Welcome one, welcome all. It's about 74, 75 degrees. There's a little bit of a breeze and some gusts reaching 20 to 30 miles per hour. So every now and then, if you hear the microphone cut off, please forgive me. But I hope you're all having a great day so far. I'm having a phenomenal day today. I feel incredible, relaxed, and ready to rock another great topic here with you folks today. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Today I'm going to be talking about stagnating. And it is a topic that everyone can learn from, and it is something that everyone has experienced at one point or another in their lives, or will be experiencing it, or have experienced it multiple times and may experience it again. And I'm here to say that regardless of what your friends, co-workers, or other family members may say, there's nothing wrong with stagnating as long as you strive to overcome it. As long as you keep on pushing forward to overcome stagnation. I am one that has experienced stagnating many times in my life. Hey, Queen, how are you doing? Can you hear me clearly and see me clearly? I just gave you a like, says Lewis. See you soon. Queen Helen Casey says hi. Everything is nice and trim. It's a beautiful day. Couldn't ask for a better day for a walk. So I'm going to share some examples today regarding things in life that I've stagnated. Now, if you've been following my channel for quite some time, or my content for quite some time, you know, everything I mentioned here today, I have mentioned before in bits and pieces from other pre-recorded videos and other live streams. So, you know, if you've been following my content for a while, this is going to be nothing new for you, but like I always say, repetition is the mother of skill. And the more and more you hear something over and over and over again, that's when it begins to become a habit. Things become a habit once you hear it over and over and over again. That's why back in the days when we used to listen to the radio actually, and not streaming music through our phones now. Somebody's coming on the trail. I'm going to let him pass. Radio stations used to play certain songs every 30 minutes, all day, every day for weeks or months at a time. And it would get annoying, right? But the reason why they did that is they were paid to play certain songs more often. So that way those songs, you know, are remembered, and then people go out and, well, back in my days, it was records, then cassettes, then CDs. Right now, it's all digital music. It's all streaming. Or you can download like MP3s or AAC files. Somebody's got one of those motorbikes. I heard that thing coming. I will never buy a bicycle with a motor on it. There's no point to it. There's no point to it. There's no exercise benefit using a motor. Your legs should be the motor of a bicycle. So yeah, that's why, radio stations used to play songs over and over and over again. Repetition's the mother of skill. And quite frankly, the more something annoys you, the more you remember it, right? I've grown to learn that myself, The more something annoys you, you tend to remember it more often and practically never forget it. To me, it's not the best way to market yourself, at least in my opinion, but it does work. And a lot of people do use that type of marketing to get attention to their products and services. And I'm not willing to market in that way, and that's why, I stagnate at times with the things that I do. I'm the type of person that likes to do things as honestly and ethically as possible. And every now and then, everyone has to push the boundaries of morals, values, and ethics to get things done. I understand that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I'm just not one that's willing to ride lines, skate lines, or even cross lines to get ahead. And that's one of the reasons why I stagnate, and then I have to, reevaluate things, look to see what's working, and also look to see what isn't working. Oh, man. Before I get further into it, my lady and I were going to do part 2 of a stream we started the other night on Coach Eli 2 regarding, how and why, or why are modern men so insecure, nowadays. And I decided to postpone that. Well, my lady and I decided to postpone that until tomorrow. We're probably going to do that tomorrow morning. It was me that made that decision because I know she gets tired in the evening, and she actually, went out of town to have lunch with her mother today. Her mother invited her out to lunch. And I was like, oh, that's great. Go and have a good time. Drive safe. And maybe on your way back, you'll catch this stream. You can hear it through your Bluetooth in your car. And I was saying, yeah, if you're not too tired, we can do part 2 tonight. If not, we can do it tomorrow, even during the day. And, yeah. We just decided to do it tomorrow during the day. So probably tomorrow around 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern, 10 or 11 a.m. Pacific, tentative, more than likely, we'll be doing part 2 of the, of the stream regarding, why modern men are so insecure. Now, I got to tell you, they did a lot of trimming here. Beautiful. Wow. It's actually green. It's green in this area. I'm quite shocked. Other areas have been totally dry. Now, I may come back tonight and do a brief show on Coach Eli 2, but I'm not quite sure yet. And by the way, I did do a very important stream last night, a great topic. And it was titled How to Stay 10 Steps Ahead and Anticipate Things Before They Happen. It was a stream regarding, being proactive, learning from your mistakes, and then, applying what you learn from those mistakes and becoming proactive. So things that you don't want happening in your life don't happen again. You can avoid negative things like the plague. It's just really beautiful. I've been showing you folks the front camera because it is just, I haven't been out here in a while, and it is just so beautiful out here. It's very trimmed, and the path is clear, the weather is great. I can't ask for anything more. So in my life, by the way, this is episode number 310 of the Walking with Purpose live edition, episode number 310. And before I continue, let me reset the chat here real quick in case it got stuck. I'll be right back. All right, we're back live. We are back live. We are back live. Thank you, Queen. I appreciate it. Beautiful. All right. Now we get into the beautiful part here. You're good. Thank you, Queen. I appreciate that. I greatly appreciate you. Whoa, something was running through the bushes there. It's probably some squirrel or something. There are a lot of squirrels out during this time of the year. The weather's getting better. So I haven't had to wear a jacket in almost 2 weeks on my walks. So this is phenomenal. At some point I may have to also stop and use the restroom. Oh, that rock. I didn't see it. I'm not wearing my hiking boots. Typically I wear my hiking boots on these trails, especially when you go on dirt, but I have an older pair of tennis shoes I'm just trying to really wear down. And so it's a pain in the ass to get your hiking boots on as well. It takes a lot longer to strap them up. So when you see me kind of skip along, it's my foot hitting rocks, like big rocks that are on the ground. And when you wear hiking boots, it gives you better balance to, go over them, or, if you hit them, it gives you better balance. But I've gotten good at not falling from hitting rocks with my tennis shoes. It's just really beautiful. Really, really nice. So let's go back to my younger days. Let's go back to my younger days and talk about, when I first started to hit stagnation, when I first started to stagnate at certain things that I was trying to accomplish. So, when it came to school, grammar school, high school, I never had a problem, never stagnated. I always excelled in school. My only issue that I had growing up was, I didn't have the best social skills. I was taught to be very nice to everyone, no matter how mean they are to me. That's how my mother raised me. And, I can't blame her. I don't blame her for raising me that way, because I'm glad I turned out the way I did. I'm glad that I'm a nice person to everyone, no matter how bad, people have treated me in the past, right? But here's what happens. When you're treated badly, let's say like in grammar school, before people mature, if you don't stand up for yourself, right, people keep doing it, right? And for me, I wasn't the strongest kid in the class, but I wasn't the weakest kid. I'm like medium built, right? But I was strong enough to stand up for myself, and I knew a lot of the people that were coming at me, I could take them out if I wanted to. But it was never in my head and heart to hurt anyone with my words or my hands, right? I've never been the kind of person that, has ever felt the need to, hurt someone with my words or my hands. Now, have there been some times where I got into a few fights? Sure. I'll share more about that in just a little bit. I think I may have shared this story once a long time ago on my former channel, but it's been a while. Most people probably didn't hear it. It basically started in 8th grade, which was the turnaround of me standing up for myself. And then by the time I was a junior in high school is when I was no longer picked on or teased or bullied, and people started to respect me. And why? Because I started to respect myself. And again, I don't blame my mother for raising me to be nice to everyone, no matter what, right? Because that's the way everyone should be. Everyone should be nice to everyone, no matter what. But that's not the way the world works. It's not the way the world works. There are a lot of mean people in the world. And that's, one of the main reasons why I do coaching today. I try to teach people how to overcome their mean side and become a better person, right? Or if you're a good person and you encounter mean people, I explain why these mean people are behaving the way they are and why they're coming at you. And once you understand it, you can walk away and ignore people like that. So that way it doesn't, cause you any issues, right? It doesn't drain your energy, doesn't set you back. The answer always is the same. It's, people project their insecurities. When people are coming at you for whatever reason, it's a direct reflection of how they see themselves. And once I learned to understand that in life is when my life turned around. Because when I figured that out, I could quickly identify, and to this day I can still quickly identify when people are projecting onto me, and I don't let those people upset me or trigger me or kick me down. I just ignore them like the plague, and that's it. You walk away quietly. And when you walk away, you don't talk shit about them. They may end up talking shit about you, and that's because, once again, the way they're coming at you, even if you walk away, is a direct reflection of how they see themselves. They're just unhappy and miserable people. I've dealt with unhappy and miserable people all my life. And a lot of people may say, well, Eli, there are a lot of unhappy and miserable people out here on YouTube. Yeah, but it's not just YouTube. It's most apparent on YouTube because everyone's out here. And there are a lot of people on YouTube that just, fly off the handle all the time. And I'm not going to lie, there were quite a few times when I first came on this platform full time, about 5 years ago, for my first 2 years, where I lost my shit a time or two, or maybe 3 or 4. And I never meant to lose my shit, but I had to learn how to deal with people on here, just like I learned to deal with people in the real world, right? And people are the same on YouTube as they are in the real world. It's just that there's a lot more of those mean people coming at you at the same time. It's much easier to gang attack people on a digital platform, on a social media platform, especially like YouTube, than it is in real life. So that's why it's more apparent on YouTube. This is beautiful. I wanted to show you this, folks. That's why I wanted to share it with you folks, because it's the same thing, online and offline, but it's just more apparent because it's a digital platform where millions and millions and billions of people can log on simultaneously all over the world from your mobile device or your laptop or desktop. Even though the water's a little bit low, I gotta tell you, it's quite a bit low because we're in a drought here in California. It's still beautiful to look at. I gotta tell you, they really trimmed this trail very nicely. God, it's amazing. Baby, if you're watching, you're probably just listening because you're probably driving on the way back. Yeah, we'll come do this trail too one of these days. Oh, and by the way, this Saturday, my lady and I are going to be going down to Big Sur. I don't know if you folks have heard of Big Sur. Big Sur is a 90-mile stretch of towns and coastal views off of Highway 1, south of Monterey and south of Carmel. I'm sure you folks have heard of Monterey. It's a very nice area. It's pretty much as expensive to live in Monterey and Carmel as it is in the San Francisco Bay Area. And Monterey is like about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours from where I live. And so we're going to be going down to that area on Saturday, possibly spending the night, maybe coming back. We'll figure it out. If we come back, we might do a show. And if you folks remember, good old Clint Eastwood used to be the mayor of Carmel for a while. Queen Helen Casey, you remember Clint Eastwood, right? You remember Clint Eastwood, right, Queen? The same for me. I was raised to respect everyone. Lewis says hello. Queen says hi, Lewis. Lewis Fuller says Queen. Awesome. Yeah, look at how beautiful this is. Let me just show you right here. Even though it's a bit dry, even the dry patches look beautiful. I mean, it's not good for our water supply, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. I cannot complain at all. So, with the exception of being bullied a bit in grammar school and high school and figuring it all out, I didn't really stagnate. I kind of figured things out. I did well in school. And, that was never a problem. I will share one story, though, that I think I may have shared it on my former channel. But I remember in 8th grade. In 8th grade, I was really picked on by a few guys. It wasn't all the guys. It was a couple of guys, because these guys saw me as a threat to them being the kings of the class and getting all the chicks, right? And, there was this woman or this girl back then, we were young, it was a girl. Let me pull up the side. I think someone's coming. And I don't want to get him in the camera. I'm going to wait for this dude to pass before I continue. Yeah, he's coming down here. Cool. Love the trail. A lot of nice people, and people are just very friendly on these trails. Like I've said before in the past, and I'll say it again. You want to find some of the nicest people, go on walking and hiking trails, because people that go out of their way to take care of their bodies and stay healthy and fit tend to love themselves more, so they're much nicer people to be around. Like I've never encountered any rude people on a hiking trail or a walking trail. I don't even think it's possible, because like people that are just rude and mean just don't love themselves enough to want to take care of themselves physically and stay healthy and fit and in shape. So when I was in 8th grade, like I said, there was these two guys, and they were like threatened by me. I don't understand. Throughout not all my life, but sectors of my life or sections of my life, throughout certain years of my life, there have been quite a few people that feel threatened by me, and I can never understand that. Like, I've always been a good person. I've always been nice to people and respectful and fun to be around and not judgmental, right? I'm just growing to realize that, people just have a lot of unresolved issues. And when they see someone happy that had a great upbringing, they're just going to project like without even realizing it. So I just grown to learn and understand that. And there's a woman coming with her dog. I'm going to be respectful and wait until we pass on by. Hi. Very nice people and very respectful. She saw me coming and she waited for me, and I just went around the grass to be more respectful. That's the way I was raised to be. So these two guys would like tease me all the time, and they would try to make me look bad in front of the girls, right? And I won't tell you what ethnicity they were, because I love everyone equally. I love everyone equally, and I'm not prejudiced at all. But there is some truth that certain ethnicities, they seem to act a certain way. You'll figure it out by what I say. These two guys in 8th grade, they were trying to act machismo, right? So there were a lot of Hispanic people in my class, right? Men and women, and I've always loved Hispanic women. I think my woman is part Hispanic, a little bit, but don't worry, baby. I love the way you are. I'm just saying, like Hispanic women are very beautiful, right? But the Hispanic guys are very they can be very controlling, and they like to try to act machismo and shit, right? And for me, I'm just a cool, down-to-earth guy. So the women, they liked me because I was just a cool, down-to-earth guy. I wasn't trying to pretend to be something I'm not, right? And I would, dress nice and smell nice, and I was just a nice dude, right? I was just friendly with everyone, right? These guys would try to talk smack about me, right? So, and I would just let it bounce off. And some of the girls would say, why don't you stand up to them? I'm like, it's not worth it, I was just raised to be good to everyone, right? But there was one of the dudes was a big guy. He was a big guy. He was like, we were 8th grade. He had to weigh at least probably 180, 200 pounds in 8th grade. He was a big dude. He was a big dude. And I can't remember what I weighed. What was I, a $135, a $145 or something like that at that point? You know, hadn't fully grown yet, right? So in 8th grade, you know, at least back when I was in grammar school, maybe they still have outdoor ed, maybe they don't. We had outdoor education, and we went to Yosemite National Park for outdoor education for 1 week, right? And, you know, we had cabins, you know, there were, you know, each cabin had like 3 cots or 3 beds or something like that, right? And obviously the boys, you know, slept in the cabins, and the girls slept in their own cabins, and the boys slept in their own cabins, which is what I'm trying to say. They were not co-ed cabins, right? Because, you know, 8th grade, that's you know, the age where you start to get really some big hormones. Maybe in 6th or 7th grade you do, but by the time you hit 8th grade, it's like you start to get those hormones, right? And women are fertile, and they can get pregnant even at that age, you know, if they've gone through puberty, right? So I remember during that trip, some of the girls tried to sneak into some of the boys' rooms at night, and the chaperones, they caught them, right? And then it was funny that they gave those guys and gals that were trying to spend the night together, you know, the talk about pregnancy and all that, and blah blah blah. And for the rest of the trip, the chaperones were on high alert, so there was no, you know, sneaky going on, right? So the one big dude, like, that was 180 or 200 pounds. The same for me. I was raised to respect him. Okay, Lewis, you I already read that. Let me go off the air and come right back to reset the chat. I think the chat froze. I'll be right back. Okay, let me see. Queen says, I never heard of it. Oh, okay. I forgot what you were saying. I never heard of it. Queen. Yes, I do. I think you're responding to Yosemite National Park. Great place to do some hiking, mountain climbing. Half Dome is there, a very famous mountain to climb. It has a waiting list of over a year to climb. But you got to be careful. Lots of bears out there, lots of snakes, rattlesnakes, bears. You just got to be real careful. Be on high alert at all times, right? So this big dude, right, that didn't like, he was one of those machismo dudes, right? You know, didn't like the fact that, you know, so the Hispanic, you know, the Mexican, you know, girls liked me and wanted to hang around me, right? So the dude kept talking shit about me, you know, when we were in Yosemite. And it was after dinner, and we were in the cabins for a little bit, and then there was like a bonfire, I guess, at the end of the night, if I remember correctly. We had a bonfire to get together with everyone. So we go to dinner and sit around for an hour in the cabins, hang out. And then we'd go around the bonfire, roast some marshmallows, you know, shit like that, right? But he was talking mad smack about me to the women and the girls. The girls came up to me and were telling me, right? And I was just getting really tired of hearing it. So, you know, I was in the cabin. I was in my cabin by myself. And I told the girls, just tell that dude to come. His name was Danny. I remember him. His name was Danny. I remember his last name, too. I won't mention it. It's a common last name too, so I mean, good luck trying to find it. But his name was Danny, right? And I told the girls to, send Danny to the room, because at this point I had lost it. Like I was like, fuck this, right? Fuck this, right? Now remember, I'm like a $135, $145. This guy's nearing 200 pounds in 8th grade, right? So he's got a good 65, 70 pounds on me, right? Maybe like 60 pounds on me at least, right? But I was in a rage. Like I was in a rage unlike anything I've ever been in, right? And I don't like harming anybody. But this dude came in, and I went right up to him, and I just threw him up against the wall. And he bounced off the wall, and it shook like an earthquake because he's so big. I was in such a rage. And then he came back at me, and then I just grabbed him, and I threw him down on the bed, right? And I held him down, and he got up. I just started to whoop his ass. I was in a rage. I was like, I've had enough, right? And I'm not the kind of guy that likes to whoop ass. I don't. Ever since then, I've never whooped ass. So I whooped his ass, and I was like, man, I don't know whether I was feeling bad or whether I was feeling like I finally got my sanity back, right? And the point of the matter is, after I whooped his ass, I not only got his respect, I got the respect of the other guy that was coming at me. And we were all cool for the rest of the year. And then we became good friends after that. And these people didn't know that, I had it in me to defend myself in that way should I have to. You see, folks, here's the thing. I'm not a fighter. I'm more of a lover and not a fighter, right? But if I have to defend myself, I will defend myself and can defend myself. It's not about the size. It's how you carry yourself. Do you know how to defend yourself, right? There are certain things the weakest people in the world can do to defend themselves. You can learn the police tactics, right? Squeeze someone's veins. Like my lady learned all the police tactics. My lady learned all the police tactics. And sometimes when she holds my hand, like real tight, she doesn't realize she's holding me, with the cop hold, which is basically cutting out my blood circulation and disabling my arm or my hand. And so she's getting better at not doing that anymore. But it doesn't matter how physically weak you are. It's more about knowing how to defend yourself, right? And yeah, this guy had 60 pounds on me, but he had no moves. He was big. Like, I could run circles around this guy, and I did, right? But the point of the matter was this. I apologized to him. He apologized to me. And you want to know what's interesting? The teachers never found out about it until after we came back from outdoor ed. I don't know how they didn't know about it, right? Because people were talking about it, but they were talking about it quietly, right? And we never got in trouble for it. Because, and this is what I assume happened, they saw us all become good friends. The teachers knew these people were picking on me. And then they stopped picking on me, and we were all friends all of a sudden. So they just let it go. And that was just a really cool lesson to learn. That was just a really cool lesson to learn. Let me see. I gotta reset the chat. Yeah, give me 1 second here. Let me reset the chat. I'll be right back. All right. Okay, no problem. Yeah, thanks, Lewis. So that was something that I overcame. Now, where did I stagnate after that? I stagnated when I started working. Now, my first job was working for a movie theater. And I started working at age 15 and a half at a theater in San Mateo, California called Hillsdale Cinema. And the Hillsdale Cinema was like the premier theater. Even when I started working there in the late 80s. I started working there, I think it was 1989 or 90. I think it was 1989. Yeah. I was 15 and a half. You are back. Thank you, Lewis. Appreciate it. I gotta find a spot to use the restroom before I share this story. There is a spot up ahead I usually go to. And they can't trim it as nicely, or they won't trim it down as low as they have over here on the left side. And I hear some dry grass over here. Let me switch the camera. Come on, switch. There we go. See over here, it's still all green. This is all watered with sprinklers and shit. Over here, this is dependent on rainfall. And you can tell we've been getting no rain. Yeah, I think the spot's coming up over here. So my first job, it was great. I got my first managerial experience. I was an assistant manager for the movie theater for a year before I left, and then I applied for a better job. Costco was opening up in the area, and I applied, for Costco. And I got to tell you the story, but I don't know. I'm not going to be able to go anywhere around here because there's too many people. And they've really trimmed this thing really good. Wow. Anyway, so I remember going to interview for the Costco job. I tried to apply for Costco. Well, it used to be called Price Club in Redwood City. Some of the stores were called Price Club, some were called Costco Wholesale. This was before they merged, like in 1993, and they called it Price Costco, and then they changed it to just Costco Wholesale. But back then they had Price Clubs and Costco's. I tried to get a job at the Price Club in Redwood City for years, and a couple years, starts when I was 18. I worked at the movie theater until I was 20. And what happened was they never called me back. That was a union store. It's still a union store to this day. Let me show you this angle over here. I mean, despite it being really dry, it's absolutely gorgeous. But we definitely need more water. More water. But a new Costco was opening up in Foster City, the city next to San Mateo. And it wasn't, too far from where I lived. So, I applied for the job. And because it was such a big store that needed a lot of employees, a lot of companies back then and still to this day, if necessary, do their hiring or do their interviewing at the EDD, which stands for Employment Development Department. It's the unemployment office. It's known as the EDD. Wow, look at this. And I remember I went in for my first interview. And I was fired up. I was just really super fired up. I really wanted to get the job. So I was thinking, how the hell do I stand out? I was already thinking at that age, how do I stand out and get this job? I really want to work for Costco. They pay the best. They have great benefits, etc., right? And I go into my first interview, and it was this like, I was 20 years old, and this guy was about 28. He had just gotten out of the army, right? He had the army cut, the short hair, not shaved totally bald like mine, skin bald, but like a shaved head look, right? Wow, even this side here has been trimmed really nicely. Wow, very nice. So I go in there, and this, shaved head military dude with his cocky military voice, right? Real cocky, arrogant military voice says, "Hey, Elias, this is," I'm not going to mention his name because you folks will look him up. "Hey, Elias, this is blah, blah, blah. How you doing?" "Good, how you doing?" "So tell me, Elias, why do you want to work for Costco?" And I just came out and said, "Because I'd rather work than sleep." And that's all I had to say. He goes, "I really like your attitude, son. I'm going to set you up for a second interview right now. I like your attitude. Second interview coming up. Go ahead and go outside, and we'll call you when ready." All I said was, when he asked me why do I want to work for Costco, I said, because I'd rather work than sleep. I wasn't lying, because I'm still the same way to this day. I'm still the same way to this day. Even when it comes to my coaching business and my YouTube stuff, right? There are times where I'll stream in the middle of the night. I haven't done it as much as I used to, but when I first came on this platform, I would do late night with Coach Eli. Heck, who knows? Maybe I'll bring back a blast from the past tonight and do a late night with Coach Eli after talking with my lady. People doing some maintenance over here. Went to my second interview. It was a bit more formal. It wasn't as easy as just saying, because I'd rather work than sleep. But got that second interview. Passed it, got hired. It was all good. Here's where I stagnated. I've mentioned this before, and I will say it again. I stagnated because I wanted to be a cashier. I wanted to get promoted, to the higher pay grade. Costco has service assistants and service clerks. Then there are many departments that have service assistants and service clerks, but the service assistant is the lower pay scale. And on the front end where I was working, where the cash registers are at, the service assistant was the one that would pack the items in the boxes or bags. Sometimes Costco would have bags, but usually you have to put the shit in boxes, right? Or sometimes when there was none, you had to throw the shit in the cart. And customers would get ticked off because they'd have all this meat that was all sweaty and everything, right? And they had to put it in their cars and their trunks without any boxes or bags. Hey, that's what happens when, if you want to get cheap wholesale prices, you're not going to always get a box or a bag. But try explaining that to a customer, right? So, I was a service assistant at first, and I wanted to be a cashier, a service clerk. And, they were hiring. They were promoting 20 cashiers to service clerk after the 3-month probationary period was going to end. And I busted my ass. I was always on time to work. I would stay later. I'd work overtime. I'd work a 6th day. I was working like 48 hours a week. My my registers, whenever I'd work on the register, because we were taking turns, there were 40 people that wanted the position. Only 20 were going to get it, so we would take turns cashiering. One day we'd cashier, the other day we would be a cashier assistant, service assistant, right? This is absolutely gorgeous here. We're going to stop here for a second. Queen, you tell me. Like, they've really trimmed the bushes so well around here. Like, you can come out here and really go all the way down the water. And that kid just put his bike over there. No, I'm not going to walk over there because I don't want him to think that I'm taking his bike. I'm not. But he just left his bike and started walking back the other way. And there's another kid here coming on a bike. Smaller dirt bike. Maybe he was waiting for him. So this kid left that bike there and he's still walking back. Like, why would you just leave a bike right there? Oh, he's waiting for his dad who's coming. All right, let me start heading back. You know, it's really cool. These kids have been respectful. They see me with a mic, a selfie stick, and they're not asking, are you recording? Are you on YouTube? Or one of the other live streaming platforms? That's awesome. So what happened? I ended up not getting one of the cashier positions, even though I was one of the best qualified. Always come to work on time. I would be the last one to leave. I would dress nice, smell nice. Was friendly with the customers. My tills always balanced exactly to the penny. I wasn't even a penny short or a penny over, right? If a customer was short a penny, I would take a penny out of my pocket and say, I got you. Not really supposed to do that, but, you know, like, fire me for giving a customer a penny, you know? So that way my till can balance. And they don't have to write a check or anything like that, right? Back then there were checks. That was before they started even taking debit cards at Costco. The only thing they would take were Discover cards. And then you'd have to run those up to the podium. We didn't even have terminals at the register to process the Discover cards. Now, you know, it's a different story, but this was back even in the, you know, early 90s. It was actually, I started working at Costco in, what was it, 1993 is when I started working there. 93, 94. And so they promoted people that were less qualified than I was. Why? Because I've said it before, I'll say it again, the supervisors, you know, the female cashiers that got promoted, the women that got promoted to cashiers right away were banging the male supervisors. And at that point, I began to start seeing a trend of how you move up quickly. It's not about who you know. So it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, right? It's not about what you know, it's who you know, right? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to bang your way to the top, but that can help, even to this day in certain situations. But it's gotten more risky because, you know, all this hashtag Me Too stuff, right? but it should have never been allowed in the first place, right? But it's not fair to the people that really earned the promotion to be passed up by people less qualified, but just so happened to be having sex with the supervisors that had an influence on the department managers, choice of who they're going to promote, right? And so that was a setback for me. I stagnated. I bust my ass. I'm doing everything I possibly can. I'm the poster boy employee, and I'm getting passed up, and I'm stagnating. See, sometimes, folks, you're going to stagnate in life, and it's out of your control, right? Sometimes you're going to stagnate in life, and it's out of your control. So what do you do about it? I'm not going to go any further in the story. I eventually ended up getting promoted to cashier a year later. But then I wanted to get promoted to supervisor, and the same shit happened. They were promoting the women that were, and some other guys too, right? But mainly they were promoting the women that were less qualified than me because they were banging the supervisors still. And even if I wanted to do that, the majority of supervisors were male. So, that wouldn't have worked for me. But I wouldn't have gone, I don't play that game anyway. I like to earn everything that, I get. I like to earn it all. I like to earn it with my bare hands. That's what makes me feel good about myself. Before I continue, folks, please take this moment to smash the like button. Whether you're here live or on the replay, please also share this out on your community tabs. Channels now that have over 500 subscribers, about a week later, you get a community tab. So please share it on your community tabs. I'd appreciate it. Please also share it on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or any other platform where you have a group of people that you feel would benefit from my content. Humbly speaking, I feel anyone and everyone can benefit from my content as long as they have an open mind and an open heart. And please also subscribe, bang the bell, and select the notifications to both of my channels. This channel here is my main monetized channel. It's getting closer and closer to 7K subs. I need 10K subs to get a merch wall. That's the next thing you get. At 10K subs, you get a merch wall. Oh shit, that's a big black bee. And those motherfuckers will hurt. When it's hovering right in front of you, you just back off. You give it respect and space, just like you give rattlesnakes or snakes in general. But you're not going to see rattlesnakes out here. It's too cold for rattlesnakes. This is like right by the water. I mean, it's not impossible, but you're somebody's walking on the opposite side of the trail. It's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely you're going to see any kind of snakes out here. Now, sometimes it does get to 90 or 100 degrees, but still, it's right by the water. It's right by the water. This is not their environment. Their environment is more like in the woods and shit like that. And I used to think that rattlesnakes only like to lay on dirt paths. That's a myth. I've seen 2 rattlesnakes in my life, one on a dirt path and one on a paved path. Both of them were not in the Bay Area. They were in the Sacramento area in the foothills near Auburn, which is east of Sacramento. It's like 40 miles east of Sacramento, which is our state capital. I gotta find that spot to use the restroom. On the way back, I'll find the spot. How's the audio been? Has it been okay? All right, folks, we're back live. Sorry about that. We're back live. I got cut off the cell tower. It was buffering for a second. So I just shut it down and relaunched it. Can you folks hear me clearly and see me clearly? Respectfully, maturely, and professionally. Yep. Hey, babe, how you doing? Are you driving back? And if you get a chance, how close are you to home? Are you halfway home, more than halfway, or less than halfway home? I'm just curious to know where you're at. You're good, says Queen. Queen Helen Casey furthermore says, Sacramento is where Antifa is hiding, and they do a lot of damage to buildings. Well, that's what you've heard in your opinion. Sure. I mean, I don't know, but hey, that's your statement, Queen. I have no opinion on that, but I heard what you said, and I'm not mad. I don't get triggered over a difference of opinion. In this case, I have no opinion regarding that. So your opinion just wins. Let's put it that way. I surrender, Queen. Oh man, that was a nice dog on the trail. There's a young woman, very fit, walking her dog, staying healthy. That's what people do around here. I'm going to wait for this other guy to pass, and I'm going to sit right here. There's a place where you can sit. This is an interesting view. And actually, I've never even seen this over here. It's hidden by the tree, restoring the wetlands. Take a look at this restored salt marsh. Yeah, I mean, this is typically filled with water, but it's dry. But it looks cool dry. I mean, it's muddy. It's not completely dry, but you can tell there's barely any water on it. It's damp, so I wouldn't walk on it. You would probably sink. But the water level is just not even there. Not close to home at all. So are you driving, babe? How was your lunch with your mother? Yeah, babe, I'm thinking maybe you and I can talk a little bit early tonight because you tend to go to bed a little earlier than me. We can talk early after I eat, maybe around 7 o'clock, and then I may do like a late night live stream for an hour or two from Coach Eli too. I'm kind of feeling like streaming now, Coach Eli too. I don't want to, you know, put you on the spot, and this is the one thing, folks, that you have to learn to understand when it comes to women and other people. Everyone has a different schedule. And, some people go to bed early and get up early. Some people have different things to do in the morning. I don't need to be up until 8 or 9 o'clock, technically. Sometimes I get up earlier. It just depends on what I have to do. But I don't have dogs. I don't have any responsibility like that. My lady has responsibilities. So, whenever she streams, like in the evening, like if especially if it's past like 7 or 8 o'clock, she starts getting tired very, very fast because she's up at 5 a.m. Lunch was great, and yes, driving. So without mentioning her name, obviously, was your mom pretty happy? Was she all good? Or is she still like throwing darts in my face, babe? I'm just kidding. No, you know what? Your mom is an interesting woman, but I still have lots of love for your mom. No, I just gotta meet your dad. Technically your stepdad, but you call him your dad, and I respect that. And it's gonna be interesting meeting him because even though he's like more down the middle, and I think you said he's registered Democrat, he seems to lean a little more towards the right, especially how pro-gun he is. Like, I'm not anti-gun, but I'm not really pro-gun either. I'm like, okay, yes, the Second Amendment is our right, and people should have the right to bear arms, but we should only allow people to bear arms that are responsible and, qualify to bear arms. We don't want any, hotheads or mentally and emotionally unstable people carrying firearms. That would be stupid, right? And you got these people on the right, more so the far right, saying that, anyone should get a gun no matter what. Okay, so you want to put guns in the hands of mentally and emotionally unstable people, and then when they come up to you and blow your head off because they flip their marbles because they're not sane, and then you're long and gone? Come on. This is what I don't get about some people. This is not about even left versus right. This is about common sense and what makes sense. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm not anti-gun, but I'm not really pro-gun, but I'm not anti-gun either. I'm about give people the option as long as they qualify and they're sane enough to carry a gun responsibly, right? We say with alcohol, if you drink responsibly, and if you drink, don't drive. Why can't we say the same shit about guns? If you're gonna carry, own a firearm and carry responsibly, right? There's no difference there, right? And I honestly think they should change, owning a gun to 21. They changed cigarettes from 18 to 21. Alcohol has always been 21. Firearms should be 21 too. Make everything 21 because these kids nowadays, even at 21, they're not responsible. But at least they'll get 3 more years of learning before they have full access to everything. Guns, cigarettes, and alcohol. Now, for me, all 3 of them, I'm not for or against. It's your choice. But I could live without all 3 of those. Some people can't. Queen, you don't need to put that in the chat, Queen. It doesn't matter. I'm not worried about it. Look at how fast that plane's going. Queen, I'll just let you know that, I don't know if you missed that message behind the scenes last night. And not a big deal. But, yeah, I'm not paying any attention to anything else besides what's going on here. I'm not worried about it. And yeah, my lady and I will share more. Maybe babe, you could leave Queen a message in the group and explain, what I mean. If not, I'll do it later. Yeah, there's a lot of wind right here. I wonder if I should just go right down here. Okay, I don't think there's anyone coming, folks. I'm going to go off the air. I will be right back in a couple of minutes here. I don't think there's anyone coming. All right, we should be back live. Can you hear me clearly and see me clearly? Let me know when you get a moment there. Criminals are still going to get firearms because the law don't apply to them. Well, they'll find a way to get anything. Like, look, if people really want to get something, they'll get it through the black market. I'm just saying we need to at least make it a little bit more difficult for 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to get firearms, which would have prevented that big massacre from happening in, Uvalde, Texas. That really saddens me to this day. It's really freaking sad, Yeah, so how did I overcome the situation at Costco? I wanted to move up to a supervisor, and I wanted to work my way up through management, right? And it just didn't happen. I kept getting passed up, just because I wasn't somebody or wasn't buddy. I mean, I was friendly with the management and drinks and stuff, but a lot of these people I was working with back then came from a different store, and they hired all their friends, and they were promoting all their friends. And it wasn't that I wasn't qualified or I was a bad person, right? Like, I was low man on the totem pole, and so were a few other people, because we didn't grow up in the same area as most of the other people did with the management. Just really unfair, It's like, and what can you do about that? If you complain, you don't get. Now, I did complain a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I think I mentioned this before. I did complain a little bit. But I mean, nothing at the level that would get me fired or anything. But what did I end up doing eventually? I ended up quitting Costco after 5.5 years, and I ended up going over to Office Depot. One of the ladies that was working at Costco, she was the food court manager, and she wanted to move up into an assistant store manager, and they were passing her up. So she went and immediately got hired with her managerial experience, even as a food court manager, and got hired as an assistant store manager, making more money at Office Depot. And she goes, I start there next week. Come and see me, and I'll forward your resume, and you'll get hired pretty much making the same thing here. They'll probably start you off as a customer service manager. I went there, gave her my resume, had an interview a few days later, got hired shortly after that. Got hired roughly at the same rate I was making at Costco. I was on the higher end of a customer service manager. What was I making? Like 15, 16 bucks an hour. And the internal promotions, people that were internally promoted to customer service manager at Office Depot were making $10, $11 an hour. And this is where my lady's saying, yeah, I was an internal promotion. I got screwed. Well, that's the thing, babe. That was the trick. And that's still the trick to this day. Is, yeah, you have to start somewhere. So you have to get some experience being in management somewhere. I had that at the movie theater. And I also worked at Costco for 5.5 years. And people were hiring even just regular Costco employees as customer service managers, even if they didn't have managerial experience, because the thing people were saying back then, which is still true to this day in the retail world, even though Costco's wholesale, if you can work Costco, you can work anywhere. If you can work at Costco, you can work anywhere. There's no job that busts your ass more than Costco. But they do pay the best in the retail wholesale sector, right? They have the best benefits, 401k, paid vacation, holiday pay, bereavement, which is for, funeral pay, right? They got everything there. But yeah, we got hired as a customer service manager. And then within a year after that, and I'm kind of cutting out a lot of the story because I've shared it before. I'm just sharing with you folks. This is what I did to move past stagnating, right? Then I got promoted to assistant store manager. And when I got promoted to assistant store manager, I remember back then, even as an internal promotion, the starting salary was $42,000, but they offered me $43,000 because I had experience and I earned it. Now that money back then was still decent money here in the Bay Area, but nowadays, $43,000 ain't shit. You need twice that, or you need to make near 100K, at least 80 to 100K to be able to afford a decent apartment out here. So that was a situation where I stagnated. And the stagnation was out of my control. It was out of my control. It was totally unfair. But because you can't control who a company promotes and doesn't promote, you have to control who you work for. You could choose to no longer work for that company, and that's what I did. After 5.5 years being at the top of the pay scale, having the top benefits, I had everything at Costco. I had it all, right? 401, everything. Now, don't get me wrong, I rolled over my 401k, and then let me tell you, this is the thing that people don't understand. Let's settle something right here, okay? To help people understand this, okay? And I'm just gonna put it this way. After 5 years being at Costco and only putting in 5% of my salary, you could put up to I think it was 18% was the max, right? I only put 5% in. And I had invested my money 100% in Costco stock because I rode the wave. When I left Costco after 5.5 years, I had $30,000 in my retirement. Now, what do? You roll it over, right? You roll it over to your next company, right? And what happens when you become self-employed? You have other options like IRAs and stuff like that, individual retirement accounts, right? Stuff like that. So think about it. Think about it. You start young, and by the time you're in your, how old was I? Shit, I was 26 years old. I was 26 years old and I had 30K in my retirement already. Now, some people may say that's not a lot. Now, nowadays it's different. We're talking, this was, this was the year 2000. This was like 22 years ago. What do you think's happened to that money in 22 years? Now, sure, there have been highs and lows, but I kept contributing more through other companies. And when I became self-employed, I kept contributing, and I keep contributing, right? And it just builds up. You start young. When you get to my age, that's when you start to reap the benefits of all that. I'm not going to get any further into it because, number one, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not allowed to give advice. I'm just saying, folks, if you don't have a 401k retirement plan or an individual retirement plan or something, if you don't start planning your own retirement, you're going to be screwed. Social Security may not even be there by the time we retire. And is Social Security going to be enough? Probably not. Not if gas prices and inflation stay this high. Are they going to raise Social Security? No. That's earned as you go along. You need to have a retirement plan, folks. And maybe one of these days, right now I'm taking a break from collaborating and interviewing people. I'm just doing my own content, either by myself or with my lady. But when I start to bring people back on the channel and do some interviews, I want to bring on a couple financial advisors and talk about the importance of retirement plans and starting your retirement plan as young as possible, right? And when you have a retirement plan, you know, there are situations that allow you to withdraw some of that money, or even most of that. That's the glorious thing of it, right? Now, most companies will assess you, typically it's around 10%, like a 10% hardship withdrawal, but you have access to that money if you need it. But you should use, you know, the least amount of it as possible, because you want that to keep compounding and keep building, so when you actually retire, you have enough money between, if Social Security is available, retirement, maybe you have a pension or whatever, right? You have enough money to live the rest of your life. By the time you retire, you got to figure you're going to be around at least another 20 to maybe 30 years. You got to plan for 30 years of living. If you retire at 65, there are people living to be 95 and 100. You need 30 to 35 years of money. Start as soon as possible. Give me just a second here. Queen Helen Casey says, while teenagers have to wait until 21, the criminals are going to kill innocent people in the meantime. They don't go to jail, and if they do go to jail, they are bailed out immediately. Yeah, that does suck, Queen. Here's the thing. If people want to get things, they can, like I said earlier, they can get them in the black market. You know? They can get them in the black market. But we have to at least do the best we can to make it a little more difficult for our youth until they mature a little more, and hopefully they're raised in a way where they're mentally and emotionally stable, right? Even kids that are raised right, you know, they have to fully mature before they can, you know, properly and safely operate a firearm. Right, and operate it responsibly, right? If I had to say, you know, the right age, I'd probably say, you know, 23 or 24, maybe 25 is what they should push the age for guns, and maybe even for alcohol and cigarettes. I just don't think our youth nowadays are maturing, or even starting to mature, until they reach 25, sometimes even 30. That's the problem. Our kids aren't being raised right, and, you know, they have to figure it out on their own the hard way, and it takes them longer to do that, sometimes into their 30s, right? But if the law says you can get a gun at 18, and as long as you have a clean record, and doesn't require you to have a psych evaluation, they're going to sell, you know, a kid a gun at 18 like they did to that kid in Uvalde, Texas, I mean. And he flipped out. And that's all, you know, the government's trying to do. That's all Biden's trying to do, in my opinion. Biden is not trying to take away the Second Amendment. Biden's trying to make it where we don't put guns in the wrong hands. a little bit windy here. This is interesting here. The water over here looks like it's chocolate and muddy. It looks like caca. You know what caca is? Like poop? That looks like caca water. Oh, it's just dirt in there. It's been an absolutely beautiful walk today. I hope you folks can hear me. It's the wind's kind of picking up a little bit. Oh, I just almost tripped over a big rock I didn't see, but I balanced myself out. I caught myself. The House already voted for 21, but that is not stopping. No, it's not, Queen. You know, Queen, here's the thing. When it comes to laws, I like I said before, I'll say it again. I look at laws more as guidelines, because the laws are only as good as the enforcers apply them. The law enforcement agencies, right? The laws are only as good as they are enforced, right? As they are applied, right? And the laws can be subjective to how that law enforcement officer is feeling that day, right? I mean, there are a lot of different variables, right? Sometimes a woman with big hooters gets away with speeding over a woman that's not as attractive. It's not fair, but you know, it is what it is. It wasn't fair I didn't get promoted at Costco right away when I was the most qualified, but it is what it is, right? You know, one more aspect I want to talk about stagnating, and to be real honest with my audience, because I want people to learn, you know, and I don't want people to give up. You know, there are many, many times that I've stagnated on YouTube over the years. I've been doing this for over 5 years full time now, right? And there are times along the way that I've stagnated with growth, donations, you know, views, subscribers, etc. And if I had to say, have I stagnated at this point right now? I would probably say, yeah, I probably stagnated a little bit. But here's the thing. I realize I've stagnated. I understand I've stagnated, and I know why I've stagnated. And what I'm in progress of doing now, here's a solution to it. What I'm in progress of doing now is finding the same solutions I found, you know, regarding other aspects of my life in my younger days where I stagnated, kind of like the promotional aspects. I went and got a job with another company. You know, it was still in retail, but it was a different type of retail environment, right? For me, I'm not going to a different platform. YouTube's the best platform. For me, I'm, you know, trialing and erroring, you know, different things and seeing what works and doesn't work. I'm testing things out. And I'm trying new things each and every day. And just because it hasn't panned out yet doesn't mean it's never going to pan out. It's going to pan out at some point. Why? Because I'm not a quitter. I don't give up. And here's the thing. Everybody that's attempted to be a YouTuber or tried to run their business out here on YouTube knows how difficult it is to trigger the YouTube algorithm. Everyone knows how difficult it is to grow your audience out here. It's a lot of work. It's almost like you're a slave for a long time. There are YouTubers on this platform where it took them 10 years to grow to a reasonable level. There are some that are fortunate enough to have their first video go viral and get 100,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers off of one video. Not impossible, but very, 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 very rare. Sometimes you just get extremely lucky. And if you get that lucky, you typically have help from someone that's a master video editor, that understands audience retention, okay, that understands, different types of music to keep people engaged, using lots of jump cuts for pre-recorded videos. Most people that go viral off of their first video go viral because it was a planned virality. It was planned. They had the right people. They paid the right people with experience to jumpstart their YouTube career. I've done this all from scratch. Everything that you see on my channel here, Coach Eli, Elias Melas, and Coach Eli 2 Uncensored live streams, has been built from the ground up with my bare hands. It's been built from the ground up with my bare hands. I've learned this myself. And how have I learned it? I made lots of mistakes, and I continue to make lots of mistakes each and every day. But I learn from those mistakes, right? And I will tell you another thing that I keep mentioning on this platform that's really made the biggest difference, right? This platform has made me 10 times stronger than I already was. I was very strong in my real life. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, because as I always say, repetition is the mother of skill. You can never hear something too many times, especially something that you need to know that'll change your life, okay? I had thick skin when I first came on YouTube for my real life, but that wasn't good enough for YouTube. YouTube will test your already thick skin. On YouTube, you need thick skin or tough skin times 10. And that's, what everything I've been through on this platform has done for me. I have been through a lot. I've experienced a lot. Trust me, right? And I continue to experience a lot each and every day. But I've learned to let that shit go. I've learned to move past it. I've learned to ignore it. I've learned to not let it faze me, right? I've learned to understand that some people will just say anything to get a reaction from you, to see how you're going to react. And yeah, I used to react to those things because I was new. When you're new, that's when these experienced trolls and haters are going to come at you because they know you're inexperienced. But once you learn this shit, then you could be proactive. Like I, was talking about on my stream last night on Coach Eli 2 Uncensored live streams. Check it out if you missed it. Okay? Check it out. And the title was, I'm always 10 steps ahead and have great anticipation regarding everything, right? I'm always 10 steps ahead and have great anticipation regarding everything because I've learned from my mistakes. I pay so close attention to the mistakes I make in my life and have made in the past. I sit there and dissect them, and they eat me up for a while. You know why? Because I'm trying to figure the fuck out why I made those mistakes, right? I wanted to figure out why I made those mistakes. Why? So I can identify them next time they're coming my way and squash them before they destroy me. Squash those mistakes before they happen, right? If you make a mistake one time, no problem. Learn from it. You make it a second time, maybe you still have a little bit of learning to do, right? But by the third time, if you haven't learned to identify that same mistake and you keep making that same mistake over and over again, then you got to reevaluate yourself. You got to reevaluate what you're doing. You got to reevaluate how you see yourself, right? Because you should never make the same mistake more than once, maybe twice. And if you're struggling to learn from your mistakes, I'm an expert at that. Trust me, I've made so many mistakes. There's no one on the planet that can question me being an expert on making mistakes. I'd like to see somebody question me in being an expert on making lots and lots and lots of mistakes. So, I've learned how to identify them and correct them, right? And in the future, I learned to identify things that are happening from the past patterns, so that way I can stop them. You know, if somebody starts to come at me and create issues, I can identify that right away and just walk away and ignore and not let it build up, not let it waste my time. I want to help you folks get on the same page, get at the same level, right? This is a 4+ mile, like a 4.5 mile, almost 5 mile walk, I believe. I'm gonna walk up this side. There's some people coming. Just went a little trailblazing for a second. The sun is so beautiful today. Anyway, folks, getting closer and closer to my car. Get your final questions, comments, and concerns in the chat. We're going to be going off the air in 5 minutes or less. I'm going to go home and make myself some dinner. And then talk with my lady a little bit. And then possibly come back tonight on Coach Eli too. More than likely, I will come back and maybe do a brief, maybe a late night show, or maybe just a late evening show. I might do a show like around 9:30 or 10 p.m. Pacific, which is, 1:30 or 2 a.m. Sorry, 12:30 or 1 a.m. Eastern. So, still not too late on the West Coast. And on the East Coast, there are some people that are still up around 12:30. So, keep it locked here to both my channels. I will share the link on this community tab here from Coach Eli too if I go live. And if you want to just go there and subscribe right now, I can't even talk. If you want to go there and just subscribe right now, Nightbot's sharing the link every 7 minutes, or just go to youtube.com/Coach Eli Uncensored. That's youtube.com/Coach Eli Uncensored. This is just really, really nice. They've really trimmed everything here. All right, folks, get your questions, comments, concerns in the chat. About to wrap things up. Don't have a whole lot more to say. I think I said enough about this subject. Folks, everybody stagnates in life. Everybody that is trying to accomplish something, even if it's something that you really, really love, and hopefully anything you try to accomplish is something that you really love, because if it's something that you really love, it's going to motivate you to continue working at it. The reason why I keep moving forward in my coaching business, no matter how long it takes me to grow, even though it's stagnated a few times, right? I love what I do. I truly enjoy doing this. Even if there are only a few people here, like right now, We only have 9 people here in the box, and that's okay, right? Those 9 people, are here because they like the content, right? Right? Sometimes there may only be 1 or 2, even if there's only 1 or 2 people here. I'm glad to be able to help those people. You start with 1. 1 turns into 2. 2 turns into 4. 4 turns into 8. 8 turns into 16. 16 turns into 32. 32 turns into 64, and 64 turns into 128. And in no time, you've got over 100 plus people on your streams. As long as you keep moving forward and pushing forward, you just help 1 person at a time. It only takes 1 person. It only takes 1 person to get things going for your business or your purpose. And now there are 8 here. Maybe tomorrow there'll be 16. Maybe not. At some point there'll be 16. Like I said, it will compound. It will build. Until then, I'm going to keep pushing forward because I love what I do. I love what I do deep within more than just the money. And if I stagnate again down the road, I'm going to fix this stagnation. Once this is fixed, if I stagnate again, then we'll reevaluate at that time. But the moral of the story here, folks, is this before I go off the air. Somebody coming, I'm going to wait. The moral of the story is this, folks. No matter how long or how often you stagnate, excuse me, never give up on your goals, dreams, and aspirations. Again, no matter how often or how long you stagnate for, never give up on your goals, dreams, and aspirations. And that's where I'm going to wrap up this stream here today. We're at 102 minutes. Let's see, what are we at? 1 hour and 42 minutes. That's not bad. I did about 4.5 miles in 1 hour and 42 minutes. It's not bad for carrying a selfie stick and stopping, using the restroom and all that. Not bad timing. All right, folks. I'm going to get on out of here. Thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you to Queen Helen Casey for being here. Thank you to my lady, respectfully, maturely, and professionally, for listening in on your drive home from having lunch with your mother. Hopefully you're nearing home now and you're safe. Thank you to Lewis Fuller for being here. And thank you to anyone else that I missed and anyone else watching behind the scenes. Again, go over to Coach Eli 2 and subscribe, bang the bell, select notifications. I may be going live there for a little bit later on this evening. With that being said, have yourselves a great day, and we'll see you all next time. Take care, and as always, be good to each other.